Cause without you, this home's just a pineapple.
Welcome back to Candy Adventures. I'm Chris.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And today we're going to go over two big decisions that we've been going back and forth against for the last 2 months. Decision A, letter number 1, is joining the U.S. military. If you've been watching the channel for any time, you know I used to be in the Army, and we have been financially struggling for a while now. So this is option 1, and I got this because I've been at the recruiter, and it's a packet full of stuff.
Or option 2, which is full-time living in this truck camper, where we would probably be doing a work camping sort of gig, which is maintaining a job in a campground of sorts while living in the camper.
Let's go over option 1, which is the Army, or the military in general. I used to be in the military, but that was a long time ago. That was 10 years ago, and once you hit 10 years, you have to do everything again. You go back through basic again, you go back through everything, you lose all your rank. So if you're clicking this because you used to be in the military and you think about getting back in, currently 39 is the age cutoff that you don't need a waiver anymore, is what I was told. I was also told by one recruiter that whatever time you served can be taken from that 39. So let's say you were like 43. If you were in for 5 years, those 5 years bring your 43 age down to get to that 39.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
So you can be older the more time you served.
Yeah, that's what I found. I've heard some conflicting information talking to some different recruiters, but what they've all said is 39 is the current age, which I'm very close to 39. So I was worried that I couldn't join. Also, they keep on record your ASVAB scores,
which is the test necessary for military MOS placement.
It's kind of like the SAT for if you're trying to get into school or something like that. And they had that, and I was so glad that I didn't have to go get an ASVAB for Dummies book again and figure out how to do math again. So they do keep that on file. So if you're someone who is thinking about going back into the military, even when I took it, this is over a decade ago, they still had all my information in the recruiter's office. They brought it up, printed it out, and told me what jobs I was good for still. But you lose all your rank.
Yeah.
The one bonus of joining the military was that at least I could come in at an E4, because since I've been out of the military, I did go to college, and that allows you to come into the military at an E4, which brings us to money, which it always comes back to money on this planet. I don't care who you're talking to, it comes back to money. A specialist makes about $2,500 a month, which for people like us who don't have a lot of bills and stuff, we can live on that. We can live on $2,500 a month. On top of that $2,500 a month, you do not have to pay rent, and that is massive.
Yeah, that is huge. And you don't have to pay for health insurance if that's important to you.
You also earn another GI Bill. So you could go to college again, or I could transfer the GI Bill over to her. And so that was the thought process of the military and why that would be awesome. For the last, I would say 6 months, I've been training for the military. I've been... sometimes I lift heavy, and sometimes I lift light, and sometimes if you exercise, you're always doing different stuff. Well, for the last 6 months or so, I've been exclusively running 5 miles and below, 2 mile times, 1 mile times, 5 mile times, pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, basically getting ready for the ACFT. And then which I didn't realize because I'm dumb, the Army changed several years ago to this CrossFit style thing.
Yep.
Where you're dummy dragging, and you're doing deadlifts for reps, and you're throwing a medicine ball and doing more stuff like that, more like a CrossFit workout. So then I thought, I better switch to that style workout.
Yep.
And then I read a news article on one of these websites that said the Army went back to the push-ups, sit-ups, and 2 mile timed run. So I have gone back and forth on my preparatory training for 6 months now, and incurred a little bit of a foot injury from over repetitive use that I'm going to have to be taking a break for a couple weeks on working out. But
you did do a cycle of the BPC 157.
I did. If anybody's interested, if you've ever heard of BPC 157, go ahead and leave a comment below, and we'll try to answer any questions about it. But it's basically a peptide that you inject into your stomach with an insulin needle, and it helps you to recover more quickly from things.
And it's not steroids.
It's not steroids. It doesn't get you high or anything like that. I know people get weird when you talk about needles, but if you're interested in BPC 157, I had good results with it.
Yeah.
But this is not about that.
Yeah.
The negatives. Let's talk about the negatives of joining the U.S. Army.
Military in general.
You're locked down.
Yeah. It is a strict contract that you cannot leave.
If you have an asshole boss in the military, you can't quit. You just go to prison. You go to Leavenworth or something. You are stuck with that bad boss. As anybody who's been in the military, at some point in time, you're going to have a bad boss, and you can't just quit. You kind of have to grind it out. 2 is that you might not be living exactly where you want to be living.
So the Army recently has allowed for some people that enlist to choose their first duty station. Is it choosing from the best duty stations ever? No, but at least you do get to choose from a list of about 50. However, after your MOS selection, you may not even end up in that specific duty station or be moved somewhere else anyway.
I never trust anything the Army or the military in general tells you. I've had several times somebody promised me something unless you see it in writing, or the writing got lost somewhere, and you can't prove it, and they send you somewhere else. The reason that's been very important for us in the last year since we've been stateside back from Guam is that I've had 2 grandfathers pass away this year. My mother, who was in her 50s, way too young, had a open heart surgery out of nowhere, out of the blue since we've been back. 2 more grandparents. We currently have 2 or 3 grandparents currently, or family members, in some sort of assisted facility right now recovering.
Yeah, my grandfather just had a stroke, so he's in and out of rehab facilities in the hospital.
So we're very leery of being in another situation where let's say they send us to Korea or Germany or something. You can't just come check on family, especially after this year, and that's still having family members in facilities. It'd be very difficult with a military style job. The benefits are great, but that is a big detractor right now in our current decision-making line of thinking, even though the benefits and the money and the GI Bill and the insurance would be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, especially if they put you out of country or on an island, it's that extra plane ride away is just a really big deal breaker.
And if you can even do it.
Yeah.
If can I get leave for block leave or leave to go anywhere?
Yeah.
Can you afford it? Can you do it? It's with a regular job, there's a lot more flexibility. In the military, they own you. And, it's something that these little pamphlets in the flowery language a lot when you go to the recruiter, is you don't understand how much they own you.
Like even just a free weekend, right? You can't go beyond a specific radius of your station.
You've got to fill out passes for, you got to get a commander to sign something, or you got to get your online training so that you can drive outside of a certain radius that weekend. It's a lot of craziness. So that's option 1. Benefits, money, stability, retirement, because I already have federal time, and college again, insurance, and no rent.
Yep.
So that is currently on the table. Option 2, this beautiful little F-250 with a homemade truck camper that we mount in the back of, which I'm very proud of, is we've been looking at some jobs where people get hired to live in their camper full time, and in exchange for you doing work, you get to live in a campground with your camper and not pay any rent. So you can go rent free in your RV and still have hookups and electricity and still live a quasi regular normal life.
Yeah.
And while the pay might be less, kind of like the military, it's the benefits of not having to pay rent that really help out.
Yeah. So the big difference is that we've already bought a camper. We wouldn't need to go out and buy one. We already own one. And like he said, you wouldn't have to pay rent. So it's called work camping, and it's typically you live on site and they give you full hookups, and you usually have access to any of the facilities that are at whichever campground you're located at, or a specific park. And the hours can vary depending on the situation. It just depends. The pay can vary depending on the situation. So it's harder to find one that fits you or the location that you're interested in.
We have been applying for these positions now for probably 6 months, or at least shopping.
Shopping, yeah. But I've also been applying for just general biologist jobs from my background for 6 months and have not heard back from a single position, and I've probably put in over 60 applications.
We keep hearing this trope, and it annoys me every time I hear it, of this generation doesn't want to work, or nobody wants to work. We have put in
combined
probably 100 applications,
easy.
And you'll hear back from 1 out of 10 maybe, and then 1 out of 10 that you do hear back from, it'll be 5 or 6 months later.
Yeah.
And it's what, and it'll be a denial. I think the last job I got denied for, it was a ski lift, chairlift operator in Taos, New Mexico, and it was a no experience needed position. for like $16 an hour, and it no qualifications listed.
Yeah.
And that I sent all my resume and all my my college degree and all that stuff, and they just sent back, sorry, about 3 months later that I was not qualified enough for their position. And I was like, you got to be kidding. So that was my last straw.
Yeah.
On those, is that, because there had been 50 of those before.
Yes.
And just very frustrating to me. That is the point of this video, is we have been not making videos lately because there's been a lot of family stuff going on in the background. We have been really mulling over these two options: full-time RV life or military. The pay is about the same. Both of them have free rent. The only difference is one of them has a little bit more freedom. One of them has a little bit more stability.
Yeah.
And as anyone who probably could guess at what my politics are, I usually lean on the way of a little bit more freedom. Even though this is
very tempting.
a very tempting and a very, I do enjoy the military. This is the way we've been leaning a little bit, and that's why we have accepted a position in California.
Which is ironic because it's the least free state out of the
Yes.
U.S.
as many jokes as I've made about California and, the People's State and, California and all that stuff.
People's Republic.
People's
yeah.
Republic of California. I make all those jokes all the time, and the few times that this channel's been through California, we have actually taken a job there on the coast. Kind of excited about that. This is on the back burner for now.
It's still an option even up to the age of 39, so it's still like we have another year to decide, but at least we're trying this route to see if we even like it and it's a source of income.
So we're going to be taking our little truck and camper, and we're going to hook up our boat behind it. And then we also have another vehicle, our minivan truck, which is really a pickup truck, even though everybody likes to talk shit about my Honda Ridgeline. It's not really a truck. And we're going to drive across the country with our whole caravan. And the cool thing about this job, which is super awesome, which blew me out of the water, is they let Mona, our dog, come along. And not only come along, but can come to work with us. So we don't have to she's not sitting in this little camper all day. She can actually come to work with us and hang out with us during the day. So that was a pretty big decision maker for us there.
And another decision maker for this position specifically is that a lot of these work camping jobs averaged about $11 to $12 an hour. And generally, living wage at the moment in the U.S. is about 15 to 17. And California, regardless of their politics, the minimum wage there is $15.50.
Yeah.
So we got $1 extra, so we're making $16.50, which is quite a bit more than the average for these types of positions.
So we're not going to be getting rich. I may finally get to pay off my little credit card that I miss all the payment on all the time. It wouldn't be doable if we weren't able to live in this shitbox that we're currently sitting in and not pay rent. So we're very happy for this, very excited for this
experience or opportunity. Yeah.
And see how we like this. Because for now, it's at least keeping old Uncle Sam off our shoulders, to go fight in some proxy war in the Ukraine over whatever the latest war of the century is that we're supposed to be fighting.
So Ukraine, China, Russia, something.
Yeah, whoever we're supposed to be giving Raytheon money for or whatever. So that's our current decision. So we just wanted to do an update and let you guys know that why there hadn't been videos in a while, that we will be moving into this truck camper full time and continuing the channel with our safety net being
the U.S. military.
old Uncle Sam. My DD-214 has been protecting me and has been a shield for me for a long time, but I may have to turn her in and give this if this doesn't work. So,
but this is probably as good of a shot as we're gonna get. The job itself seems to be pretty laid back. And the campground that we're going to be living in seems like it's a great location. There's supposed to be a lot of stuff to do on the weekends on our time off in this area. So
if any of you guys have any experience fishing around Monterey Bay, we're taking our boat and we would love to put it in Monterey Bay. And I've been already looking up, people catch bluefin and halibut and lingcod. So if you guys have any experience fishing around that area, please hit us up. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them, especially about that BPC 157. Just because I like talking about it. And that's it. All right, so thanks for sticking around. It's been a couple of months since we've posted. There's been a lot of hectic things going on, but we're still here, we're still alive, and we're still living in a truck camper.
And we just want to say thank you to those people that have reached out, that have missed us for the months that we've been gone. We have gotten messages on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram making sure that we were okay. So it's really nice that at least there are people out there that remember us and our tiny little channel.
Yep, give an Irish exit from social media, but we're back now with an Irish entrance. And everybody loves a good hard Irish entrance. So
yeah,
we'll see you guys next video.
I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready to pick up the shelf. I'ma get you back home. Say the word, I'll get the paddy wagon on the road. Only got 594 points to go.